Good afternoon, good evening. Hey, how you doing? Very busy day. Unfortunately, not trading. Went to see my lawyer this morning. I will tell you about that in a email. Then I had to get my daughter from school and just back. So uh, today I'm going to try and keep the video as succinct as possible. I'll start off by saying yesterday was a fairly long day. I got in before the just before the open at 16:58, and there's a green arrow on the screen if you're looking now. And then I think I got out around 16:78, so it was just basically two ticks. You can see there was one opportunity I could have taken a little bit more, but it was kind of going up, and so I gave a little back, but decided to take what I had plus the rebate. So that was yesterday. Today, market seems to be bottoming. It's pretty late in the day. It's an hour and a half since the open. Market's been really funky all day, but haven't really missed all that much because it's been a little up, a little down. Though it has looked pretty weak all day, it hasn't looked incredibly weak. And I think part of the problem is Google had a really awful day yesterday. After earnings was around 5% down, and so that's dragged down the whole of the Nasdaq and in turn the rest of the indexes because they're all linked up. So my forecast for today is we should see a little bit of strength. It's now 4:10, so there is 4 hours and 50 minutes left to go. From here, the S&P is at 2083. I think we should see a little bit of upside from here, probably back to 2090. It is Friday though, so that people might lay off some of the risk. But I think we'll see a bit of a pullback from here back up anyway. So 2083, 4:10 here in the UK. So that would be what time in New York? I think 11:10, something like that. So I'll go through a couple of things. Otherwise, the volatility, there's a good phrase which is it takes the stairs down and the elevator up. So that's why that's a good thing to bear in mind. Also, there are important times of the day when it comes to trading, and they start at 7:30 in the morning here in the UK when the European futures open, then 8 o'clock, then 9 o'clock, and then it goes really quiet until around 1 o'clock in the afternoon here, which is 8 o'clock in the morning in New York. 1:30 a lot of the announcements come out, so that's 8:30 in New York time, and then 2 o'clock is when people really start heating up, and that's 9 o'clock in the morning, and then 9:30 in New York is when the markets open. Then it's pretty crazy for the first half an hour as everyone tries to get their bets on. Things pretty much you have a busy morning until it's lunchtime for the traders, a couple of hours later, and then it goes really quiet until the last hour of the day, which is 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. New York time. That's called the hour of power, and that's when you usually see the last big moves of the day. I just wanted to sort of run that past you because it's interesting. You hit the nail on the head last time when you spoke last night when you said mental toughness. I mean, I think that's the most important thing you need when you trade. You need to be very, very resilient and very focused and basically unaffected by things that are going on around you. I don't mean stuff in the physical world, but in the mental world. If things aren't going that well, you need to remain very, very calm under pressure, and because otherwise, as soon as your emotions take over, you can't think, and you start to make very, very poor decisions, you chase losses, and on the other side of that, get greedy, which also affects your judgment really poorly. And that's why you hear me. I don't talk about numbers or money, because it's otherwise the numbers are fairly big, and you can easily kind of get carried away with yourself. And so it's something which I've learned over time is I don't need the money. I have enough of my own income. So it doesn't, at the moment, I'm just totally detached from it. It's just about doing a job, and that's the way you've got to be. I think in a way it's maybe a little easier for me because, if you were trading your own money, that's kind of, you can't detach yourself as well as I can. A friend of mine said to me, if any of your friends, this guy's like a super professional trader for 20 years, he said something which was like what to do if someone wants to trade, and he always says, tell them don't. And I've learned that lesson. So you said Gio said to you that you'd be good at it, and I think you probably would be, but not without significant pain. And of course there's risk attached to that as well. If you get too many early successes, and then you have a few losses, it can really fuck your head up and your bank balance basically. So you need to be careful if you do want to try it. That's all I'm saying. I don't suggest it. I don't suggest trading anymore to people. I've just seen too many people hurt themselves, and I think you probably could do it, but I think it's like going swinging with your wife. Yeah, it sounds fun, and maybe bring some spark back into your relationship or whatnot. But there's risk attached to these kinds of to these things. Lots of upside, but lots of downside, and you have to weigh up whether you want to take those risks. I think you saw yesterday. I mean, yesterday seems a long time ago now, doesn't it? But yesterday I called market weakness, and the markets broke down. I said would end up below 2,100, and we ended up at 2,090. So I have thought about running a tips business. That's no joke, because I'm fairly good at calling direction in the short term, in the ultra short term, over hours. Longer term, you don't know. I think we discussed that last night. I can tell you where the S&P is going to be in 10 minutes. Can't tell you where it's going to be in the year. No one knows. But from a statistical point of view, what's just happened in the very recent past is what's likely to follow in the very near future. That's something I have worked out for myself. Not that it's extremely obvious, but whatever's just happened there's likely to be a continuation of that process, and that's something that I thought I'd run past you. And I don't know why I've just said that, but I've considered lots of things. One of them being a tip service. Anyway, one of them selling my software because it's pretty useful. So I went to see the lawyer today, as I said. It's kind of, there's a straightforward way of doing it and a not straightforward way of doing it. I'll just give you a brief summary before the email. The straightforward way of doing it is to make you the executor of my will, because that way you can determine where the money goes. That's the money for my whole estate, which will be fine by me. If you're not in the UK, there's no tax issues around that. Also, debts are always paid first, depending on how we structure it. But I think the simplest way is to make you the executor of my will, and then you can be the one who will give yourself the money, basically. and that's the simplest way. Otherwise, you've got to set up really complex trusts, um, which then protect the money from my estate. Um, so as I said, I'll follow this up. If you want to go the simple route, I can change my will. I'll just speak to my probate lawyer. I have like a managed will service because I have quite a big estate and it changes all the time. And basically, I can change my will within a few weeks, I guess. And then what I guess I'd like to do is there's a few stipulations, like just about where my daughter lives, basically, and the amount, and giving her mother, my ex-wife, just an amount of money every month. That would come from my own estate, obviously. That's already been provisioned in there, so it's got nothing to do with us. And then anything that's left over is not spoken about. It's only given to my daughter on the proviso that she buys a house and other illiquid assets. Like, under no circumstances do I want her to get a large sum of money when she's young, nor do I want her to be drip-fed money, because it just removes any impetus, ambition and motivation to do any sort of work. If someone's getting like 4 or 5 grand a month for like the rest of their lives, I'd rather she got nothing, and that's the truth. I'd rather you just kept the money, because it just ruins people. I've seen it too many times. So those are kind of my wishes. I mean, a lot of this is done on trust. Anyway, I'll be dead, so I won't care. But I trust you guys to do the right thing, to make the right judgment calls, and I'd rather you do it than some professional executing estates kind of service, because then they just follow things to the T. If my daughter was being irresponsible, you've got to cut her off, that kind of stuff. So I think in a way, me ensuring that if something happens to me in the next couple of years, that you're taken care of, like you get your money back. But on the other side, I think a lot of the kind of nuanced details are really down to a trust thing, because I'm not one that likes a lot of like kind of if this, that, like making really in-depth contracts. I trust you. I hope you trust me. And I don't really want to. I know that you'll do the right thing because you know what I want. I have a document with what you want, and I think writing those things into some kind of contract would be, I guess, kind of worthless anyway, because who's going to enforce it? It's just a matter of trust. So I mean, I feel very happy that you guys would look after that kind of thing for me, because otherwise her mother would end up with a huge amount of money. My estate is worth a lot of money. I've got a few illiquid assets, and she's quite irresponsible, and she would just fuck it up anyway, and so therefore punish my daughter. So I'd rather just, if that's okay with you, I'll follow this up with a sort of more formal email. But I think change my will, then you're protected. Want to add some other documentation to that, then that's fine. Once you agree, then I talk to my probate lawyer, and they can sort the will out, and then I guess you could see a copy of that. I don't know. Well, we have to keep talking about this. So I have lots of things to say, but I'm actually going to cut this video short because I've got to do the sheet and try and squeeze a few trades in and cook dinner, and yeah, it's not going to be a big work day today. So that's kind of the news. That was yesterday's trade. As I said, market was at what, 2083. I expect it to go up, so I might short the VIX if I see it moving a couple of ticks off in call it a day if I get 2-3 ticks, and because I don't want to be in my office all night when my daughter's just sitting playing Minecraft or something. I need to see her because I need to see her every other week. Anyway, that's just my own kind of neurosis talking there. But yeah, that's it for now, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.